fiscal fitness is made possible by our fitness partner, Coast360 Federal Credit Union. Together we thrive.
But as we've been telling you all week, April is Financial Literacy Awareness Month, and we have here once again Derek Bollinger and Rowena De La Rosa. They are from Coast360 Federal Credit Union. Hello, guys.
Hello.
Welcome back. So now we are absolutely, like tenured experts when it comes to, talking about this stuff. Hopefully you're very, very comfortable here with it. Basically the chairs have been named after the both of you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And come for the laughs, stay for the financial advice, because that is what the both of you have been providing in abundance here. So today we are talking about getting out of credit card debt, or at least understanding it. Derek, let's start with you. How important is managing and establishing a budget?
It's very important. One of the things that a budget helps you do is identify where your money goes. I think a lot of people, they see their paycheck come in, and before you know it, it's gone. I think budgeting.
Those pesky bills.
Yeah, and I think budgeting helps identify where your money goes exactly. And I think a lot of people who go through the budget process, they start identifying areas where they didn't even know they spend that much on. And I think that's helpful when you're trying to save or pay off a credit card bill. So identifying areas where more money goes to than you even realized.
Okay, now Rowena, is budgeting like the dark art that many people make it out to be? Because you can go to school for like a very, very long time to get a degree in budgeting, and there are some people like in government right now who've been, mastering the art of budgeting for a really, really long time. So how difficult does this have to be, like at the home level?
It doesn't have to be difficult at all. It's
simple math.
Yeah, simple math. Look at your finances. Look at all your expenses, your utilities, your groceries, your subscriptions, right? And make note of that. That will total up to your monthly expenses. And then also keep in mind your gross monthly income, right? Can you afford to pay all of this and have extra set aside to, pay your bills or have the luxuries in life, do leisures? You have to be realistic also with your expenses. And I was just listening into what Derek was mentioning. You have to prioritize your needs over your wants. So for example, if you're the type to go out and buy coffee, that's like $3 to $5 a cup, right? If you do the math and you buy coffee daily in given like a 28-day period, you're spending $140 a month. That could actually be applied to your debt, your credit card debt, your loan debt, right? In a given year, that's over $1,000.
And those are the kinds of calculations that people really need to at least take into consideration, because, like you said, stuff adds up.
The small things add up.
Okay. All right. So you were talking about understanding how you pay your bills and everything like that. Do we always, Derek, have to make the bare minimum payment, like over time and everything? Or, if we can afford to do so, is it actually advantageous to kind of like, kick in a little bit more?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, you want to make at least the minimum payment, right? I think that, if we establish that first, you want to make your minimum payment. We've been talking about credit in the previous sessions, and to protect your credit, you want to make at least the minimum. But if you have the means, you want to make extra payment, especially when it comes to credit card debt. There's a minimum payment that you're required to make, but on credit card statements, if you look at your statement, it'll tell you if you make the minimum payment, it'll take you 20 years to pay off your balance.
And pay that much interest and interest.
And for lenders like you, there is no like penalty or anything like that for early payoff, right?
Yeah, there's no penalty, and on a credit card, those balances go up and down. So there generally isn't a penalty if you're paying off your credit card balance early, because there's no timeline for that.
Okay, we just brought up that wonderful graphic. Daniel, if you would you mind bringing that up again? Because I want to go back to Rowena for this next one, because you were talking about prioritization, and their bullet point numero tres is prioritize high interest credit cards. Can you elaborate on that point?
So there's different types of interest rates, right? Credit cards can range from as low as 10% to 24, 27%. The higher the interest rate, the more you have to pay back in interest. Your minimum monthly could be higher as well. So if you prioritize paying that down sooner, then at least your monthly payments in the end would be lesser. But in contrast, there's also a snowball method. Have you heard of that? So it's starting with, and this is now the opposite side of the spectrum, it's starting with your smaller balances, and you're paying that off. So for example, you have 2 credit cards. They're both $50 a month. You pay off the lower balances of the 2, and then once you've paid that off, you applied that $50 that you were paying initially for that onto your next credit card, so that becomes $100 a month. So you're unintentionally paying it down faster, twice as fast. but you're not adding on to your monthly expenses. You understand?
Okay, so and we've talked about business theory throughout this whole week. We've talked about sports analogies again. The thing that's common to all of this, as well as understanding your credit card debt, is there is a strategy to this, right?
Yes.
So you have to have like a frame of mind, and Derek, if you would, a game plan when it comes to like taking care of this stuff.
Yeah, and I think it all comes back to managing your credit card, managing your balance. One piece of advice is definitely to know how much you're putting on your credit card every month versus how much you're paying. I think a lot of people, because of how easy it is to use a credit card, they end up putting a lot on a credit card, and then, like you said, pay a minimum payment. So you may put on $200 every month on your credit card, but pay $20. And just the simple math will tell you that your balance is only going to grow.
Okay.
So if you can manage that, keep in mind how much you're putting on the card versus how much you're paying. That will help you to hopefully shrink your balance instead of grow it. Right
on. Okay, well, speaking of tactics, that fourth point, consider a balance transfer. Is this something where, like an automated system, if I set it up like, on your website with your app, that it automatically deducts on a set schedule? Is that what we're...
No, you would actually have to apply for it. It's basically taking your higher interest credit card and applying your balance to a lower interest credit card, which you would have to apply for.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you currently are paying 24% APR, for example, you can find a credit card with a lower interest rate, transfer your balances there. It could lower your monthly payment, lower the total interest you're repaying back.
Is this a fairly new idea? I mean, this was not taught to me when I was, again, when I was like a little pup, and my parents were teaching me this is how you balance a checkbook. This is how you make sure that your expenses do not exceed your income.
Right.
And everything. But I never heard about this. I mean, like, is this is a revelation to me, and I'm old.
Yeah, well, it's a feature of most credit cards now, where you can transfer the balance from your other credit cards, to a different credit card, and it's been around for a while. One thing to keep in mind with balance transfers, though, is most credit card companies, they will charge a fee for that. So you may be getting, you want to make sure it's worth it. So you may be getting a lower interest rate that'll be applied to that balance, but there could be a fee that the credit card company charges to bring that balance over to that low interest card.
Okay, and that brings us to point number 5, which is kind of what you were talking about. There may be fees associated. You want to avoid taking on new debt.
Right. It only makes sense, right? If you're trying to pay down your credit cards and loans, it wouldn't make sense accruing more in balances. So if that's your goal, you're trying to lower your monthly payment, lower your balance, maintain that repayment, and try not to get new loans in addition to, because then it's just kind of like defeating the whole purpose.
And this is information that I know is applicable towards younger people, new lenders, people that have let's say like a veteran of the lending process and everything like that. Like this is information you can use throughout the term of your loan or your relationship with a lending institution like yourselves.
Yes.
Okay, we'll tell you what, we have some community questions because we have been inviting you to ask your inquiries, both to Derek and Rowena and their colleagues at Coast360, and we will get to your community questions right after this.
Fiscal Fitness is made possible by our fitness partner, Coast360 Federal Credit Union. Together we thrive.
We're back with our learned experts from Coast360 Federal Credit Union, Derek and Rowena here, and now we are asking community questions. Now, I just want to slide one more in for myself if I can, because we were talking in the last segment about understanding budgeting and knowing that like you said, Rowena, I mean it is basic like arithmetic, and just knowing that you can't spend more that you have. But let's talk about the concept of what exactly is responsible spending and living within my means, but not being so much of a self-disciplinarian and everything like that I'm actually hurting myself.
Going back to wants versus needs, right? So obviously you need food, you need your utilities. Identify what those expenses are, and then determine if you have any extra funds for shopping or paying your subscription. So look at your overall finances and see what's coming out of your card, what's coming out of your accounts. Things such as subscriptions like Netflix, Hulu, all of that stuff, those aren't necessarily needs. Those are more of just luxuries for entertainment. Those are things you can consider downgrading if you're on like premium, or you can cancel, because that can help you cut back on your overall expenses. Obviously, you can't determine what your utility bills are going to be like, right? So those are things.
Well, you also want to be responsible with that too.
That's true, that's true. So speaking of, you can make some sacrifices, right? Like not turning on the AC sleeping next to the window, making some sacrifices so you can live within your means and have the funds that you need to pay your bills. And
very, very good advice. All right. Okay, so that was my question. Thank you for that. Just thought I'd get one more in. So we now have some community questions that were sent to us by the magic of moving pictures. So here are your video questions.
How important is it to pay by due dates?
Okay, Derek, you want to take that one? Because, we were talking before about, do you have to make the minimum payments? You were saying very effectively before you do not, but actually paying by the due date, I think that would be kind of key.
Yeah, I think it's important to pay by the due date. We've been talking all this week about credit and maintaining your credit. How you pay your loans is a big part of what your credit score is. How you make payments, are you late, are you on time? And I think beyond that, it just helps to build good habits. If you set a date for yourself, or the credit union or bank sets the date for you, you stick to that date. And the more I think that you do it, it builds a habit for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're used to paying this bill, if it's due on the 25th and you get in the habit of always paying it by the 25th, it builds that habit, and then you don't have to worry so much about, did I miss it, did I forget it? So I think structuring it so you know when your due dates are, and then sticking to it helps build good habits that will help you build your credit.
Yeah, if you do it once, it's weird because you've never done it before. You do it twice, then you're a little bit familiar with it. 3 times is a behavior pattern, and hopefully, as you said, a habit.
Yeah.
Right.
There you go.
And then there's also the late fees.
Yeah.
So if you continue
that's where the penalty comes in, like we talked about. Yeah.
Right. So certain financial institutions, if you pay late, you pay the additional fee, plus your interest rate can go up. So there are some consequences in paying late.
This kind of thing can come back to bite you in the dog, and we don't want to have you go through that, because that's why we're doing this this week-long segment, to make sure that you make smart financial decisions. All right, another video question talking from our community members.
Hi, my name is Faith. What is debt consolidation and where do I start?
Very good question by Faith. Debt consolidation, after the segment yesterday, we had our friends from Remax Diamond Realty and Mike Rudolph from Norcom, and he was actually talking about, the obligations that you get into and the schedule. You can actually manage that going forward, and you can make decisions somewhere down the road, if you need to, realign your structure.
Right. So for debt consolidation, again, look at your finances, right? What are your debts? Your credit cards, your loans, auto loans. Add them all up. How much are your total balances? How much are your total minimum monthly payments? You can actually apply for one single loan to pay off all of these all together, so you have one lower monthly payment, supposedly, and possibly a lower interest rate. So that consolidation is basically, and if it's in your favor, helps lower your monthly expenses.
Okay.
And one payment, right? So
yeah.
You're taking several loans, several accounts, and you're putting them into one bill. So we were talking about due dates, right? It's easier to remember one due date versus 5 or 10.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, you kids, think about it, like how many passwords do you have to remember for Facebook, for Snapchat, for Instagram, for, everything, for Netflix all in the world. One payment you got to make. You take care of everything in one shot.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. This is interesting too, because my parents raised me to be, we pay all of our bills on time, even if we had 8 different payments. You pay in full, you pay by the due date and everything. I actually did debt consolidation for the first time like 6 years ago. Best decision I ever made, because it's not only saves me money, but it also is very, very simple, as you said. Okay, so to recap, here is what the experts at Coast360 have taught you today. Create a budget. Simple math. You don't have to be like, a calculus expert to do this. Simple arithmetic, right? Pay more than the minimum payment. If you can, put a few more bucks into there. You reduce your overall payment. Prioritize high interest credit cards, of course. Rowena was saying that very, very effectively. So make sure that you understand which ones are generating more interest and put your focus on those. Conversely, consider a balanced transfer if you want to take care of that. I'm still looking into that, because I think this could really benefit me as well. Again, because I'm on the dinosaur side. And you want to avoid new debt. If you can, try not to take on additional obligations. Guys, we got about 30 seconds now. Final thoughts about everything that we've kind of summed up today. This was really informational. This was really fun.
It is.
Yeah.
This is very important information. It's not, like you said, it's not things we learn in school or is taught in school. It was something I wish I was informed of growing up and taking on debt when I was a young 18-year-old applying for my first credit card.
Hopefully the new generation won't have to go through what we read. Get off my lawn!
I know, and now there's more information available to them, and we hope that they're listening, and we're happy to be here. We're happy to share this information. And we hope it helps others as well.
Okay, Derek, in your opinion, does the new generation, have they got a better handle on on personal finance and the decisions they have to make and the research that they have to do.
Well, I think it's different with apps. All the financial institutions have apps, so I think it's become easier and quicker for them to learn because there's so much information available at their fingertips. And it's not just the younger generation, right? Even like you said, dinosaurs like you, that information is available. That information is available for you as well.
Bring that information to Jurassic Park, and we can actually make that work for us too. Yeah, you're never too old to learn.
Yeah. So the information's out there. Find it from reliable sources. But it's there. The apps that you can use for your financial institution, a lot of them will have tips, information, resources that you can use. And I recommend using them. A lot of times we just use those apps, go in, use it for exactly what we need. But a lot of those apps, a lot of those mobile sites, they have a lot of information. I know Coast360 does. We have a lot of information there.
I mean, or if you just want to talk to really, really nice people that really understand what they're talking about and they really want to help you make the right decisions, call Rowena and Derek and their colleagues over at Coast360. And what is the number once again for the people?
671-477-8736 or visit our website, coast360fcu.com. Can I just do another plug?
Sure, absolutely.
So Coast360 is also a proud sponsor of Bonsai financial literacy programs and resources. You can visit coast360fcu.learnbonsai. That's BANZAI.com. There's a lot of information in there, including an interactive coach.
Outstanding. I'm going to check that out after this.
Please,
okay,
please.
So for all velociraptors like me, right? Stay tuned because we have Boca Box and Needs and KUM coming up right after the break. Thanks, guys.